Hello, hello. My name is Arctic Phantom, and this is gonna be the start of a mini series I'm gonna do because I've been getting a lot of questions about how I make avatars. So, a lot of what I do is just kit bashing, and that's taking um, assets from or that already exist and put them in the blender and kind of make my own thing out of it. So, I'm starting off with this assuming that you already have the um, cats extension installed, and then robust weight paint transfer on this. So you're gonna do that. I'll leave links to both of them below, um, so you can get started. I would also like to say this is unscripted, so there may be a lot of cuts and a lot of things that may not make sense in the beginning, but as you can see, I already have my body base. This is the VR Ego base. I like it because I'm gonna be using this with the coverage on, because we can't show stuff like that on YouTube. But I don't know if this is going to be a published avatar or what, but we're just going to get started. So to import something like this, you can just go up here where it says File, Import, FBX, and then you can see here, I have a bunch of files right here, but you just figure out where your base is. But I'm going to go back into my assets and find my Starlight head. I love this head so much. One thing about it that I like is it has a lot of expressions. So yeah. Also a little trick that you can use. You can see that this is here at the very bottom. So make sure whenever if you want to move something, make sure you have your armature selected. Right click, set origin, center of mass or volume. It really doesn't matter. And now it's easier to move. So like that. And then you might notice that it comes in with kind of no texture. And if it does, like this one kind of came in automatically, if you see this little circle down here, you click this, you can see it already has a material popped up. So I'm going to do the same with this. I'm just going to use so what you want to do is come to base color, image texture, open. I do have other textures for this, but just for the sake of this, I'm just going to find the basic texture for this, because I don't want to go straight into my files. Head, female, it's a lot. It's a lot of double clicking. And there we go. Our Starlight head. So, this is a good example of how we use the cats. So if you see this little button here, it'll be on your side, but you have custom model creation. So what? No, actually, just for this video's sake, normally you would just click all of these, but when you're merging just the head and body alone, you would want to keep this joined meshes, but just for the sake of this video and me wanting to keep the clothes separate, I'm just going to do merge all bones and apply transformations. What this does is that if we turn all of these off, be careful, you can see the bones here. And what this will do is that this is the head's, this is the head's head bone right here, and this is the body's head bone. So if we watch and boop, see, that's now merged there. Apply transformations. Oh, did not mean to do that. Uh-oh, gonna have to cover that up. Or cut it out. But what that does is that it just merges those bones together. Apply transformations is just if you want to edit the head at all, or if you want to sculpt it in any way, just, you know, I love Blender because you can do stuff like this. If you want to undo anything, it's just Control Z. But yeah, so now those are two together. Also, another way you can combine things is click your head mesh, then Control click on the main one, right click, and you join. Now they're one whole mesh. This is not a video on how to do seamless head, because I'm still figuring that out for myself. But now you have your base done. Now, first I'm gonna do clothing because you kind of don't want to be looking at bear all of the time. So, once again, you're gonna go up to the file, import FBX. Now I'm going to pick out some clothing that I have. Mini cut here. I didn't have my outfit installed, but good thing, because this is a good example of what not to do here. So if you see, there are these double bones, and it kind of doubles up. A way to prevent this, so I'm just going to click here, delete hierarchy. It's just a quicker way on how to delete things. So I'm going to go file, import, my bad, import FBX. It's already pulled up, but you can scroll down, click on armature right here, and it says ignore leaf bones. This is just a good thing to have on automatically, because leaf bones, from what I understand from things outside of VrChat, is it just adds an extra little thing for safety, but we don't want that. It's just, it's an extra haggle, and we don't want that. So, it should be safe. Yep, look at that. It's a little more reeling, but it's here. So, this is an outfit set made by Nessie. We love Nessie. I love her work. It's amazing. You'll see it probably throughout this video. So, how do we merge these things? So we have three little thingamabobs here. Now, since this is rigged and weight painted to this certain body, literally like we did before, it's going to be merge all bones, apply transformations. I wouldn't recommend joining meshes, unless you're, I don't actually, I have never done this. For a larger avatar, I've done it for my Isha avatar that I have public, just because I knew I didn't want her to go full Bahonga, because she's a child, and that's weird. Remove 0 weight bones. I wouldn't recommend doing this because sometimes it can count some of these smaller ones as 0 weight, and then clean up shape keys I generally wouldn't recommend, because what that would do is that it would remove a lot of these shape keys, which shape keys literally just changes the body in some way. I'm not going to go into all of it because we're just going to focus on this. So just make sure you have these two clicked, merge armatures, that's it. One thing I will show, never mind. So one thing I will say is that this is a bad example because this has little extra bones on it, a lot actually. Oh my goodness. But something I will say is that if these bones were here, if you look up here, make sure this bone count stays the same. If it doesn't, that means the clothing has a different bone name than your base mesh or your base armature. You can do it. You can go through and name it the same as this one, but personally, I don't like to do that, and I would just re-weight paint it, which I will find something that's not weight painted to this body, and we'll do that later. But for now, as you can see, it's what is this? 68 and then 113. So this should be fine. Is make sure that this is your base armature here, and then to merge is obviously this. Boom. And then it's all here. Something you can do to make sure that it is weight painted is click on this little button that says start pose mode. You'll see it will change modes. Make sure that you have your bones shown in some way, and if you don't have it shown, a good way to do that is to click this little button up here called overlays, little drop down, and then bones right here. I personally like also to have statistics on because it will show your poly count and all that stuff. But you can see her arm moves. If you zoom in, like this little guy moves. See? It's going. If you're wondering what I just did, I just clicked this blue overlay and it turns it all off. It's really helpful if you're trying, if the bones are in the way and you're trying to see if there's clipping in that certain area. But yeah, you can also do some really cursed things. But yeah, that's another way you can test. Um, so you can basically just keep repeating this step for anything. So like this one's also rigged to this base. It's the low-rise jeans, also by Nessie. There we go. Do note it may take a second, of course, every time, but yeah. If you ever wanted to delete something, like this one, I don't really want this double layer of undercovers, so what I'll do is that I'll just come over here, click on thong, instead of deleting hierarchy, because that will delete this entire little bit here, just click delete, and then come up here. Now, I'm going to turn off bones for this, but if you may notice that the parts that are supposed to be transparent are black. So, if you don't mind this, this is purely aesthetic for Blender. You can change this in Unity, no matter what, but what you can do is go here and make sure that there is an alpha. If there's not, just find it in your files just by doing the same as clicking on it, finding image texture, and importing it there. But once you do have an alpha here, you're going to go up here to this very top row and click on UV editing. Make sure these paints are selected. And you'll see a whole bunch of things pop up. It is intimidating. It's still intimidating to me to this day, but I'm just going to move these around until I find what I want. Here we go. So this is your principal is what your kind of this base is, and you'll see that alpha is attached to alpha. So you're just gonna pull on this, get rid of it, right? What we want is color to alpha. What? Hold on. Alright, I figured out what happened. It had the wrong map. So that's a good example of what happens when the base, just the overall base texture interacts with the alpha. But like I said before, just attach the color to the alpha, and there we go. The alpha will, if we look over here, will always kind of be this white and then some blackout spots. These blackout spots are what goes invisible. So, yeah. And then, once again, we're just going to go over here to our custom model creation and merge armatures. See, easy as that. And if we do that again, you can see this bone count does not go up. So we know that there are no mismatch selected bones. Also, something I personally like to do is tag all of these so I know what, I'm gonna just delete this now, so I know what is what when I go into Unity later on. So the body I normally just leave alone, or I just put like, actually I'm not gonna do that because that breaks things. I learned that. But I'll just put like, so this is a clothing item, so I'll put C, and then since it's for the bottom of the body, I'll put CB dash, boom, CB dash, oh, dash. This one's kind of mid, but I count it as a top, so it's going to be CT dash, and then another CT dash, oh, dash. See, a lot more organized. At least in my brain, this is completely optional. It's just something I've done kind of more recently to kind of keep it more organized in my head. If you want to do it numbers, more than welcome to. Numbers, letters, body kind of has to stay as body because some things in VrChat's descriptor require the actual body itself to be named body, and I learned that the hard way, let me tell you that. So, um, let's do what happens if the um, uh, clothing item is not rigged to the base. That's what I was looking for. Alright, so I've imported an asset, literally all I just did, and you can see obviously this does not go to the space. But real quick, I'm just going to apply a random texture just so we can see what we're dealing with. So this is a strappy jacket, strappy hoodie made by BooVR. I'm not fully sure if it's still available. I just set the origin on the armature there, but look, we turn bones back on. Not everything is here, right? So what we're gonna do, this is Future Architect. This is, I'm doing this while I'm editing the main video I just made, but I realized I explained how these are, how I explained this. So basically what I did, these did have bones in them. I don't know how to keep those bones while using the robust weight paint transfer. So if you want to keep these bones, in that case, I would just rename everything, rename all of the bones that it originally came with, and just scale it to how you want. If you don't have any of these extra little things and or you just don't care, what you would do, it's not attached to its own uh, armature anymore, but you would just come up here and just delete the armature, and then you would come up, size this, come over here to the scaling tool. Um, so, hold on. To the scaling tool so you can kind of fine tune where you want it, and then come into the sculpt mode, and then if there's any clipping anywhere, you can just kind of pull and drag where you want it. I just wanted to make that clear. And then what you will do is that you'll come over here, you'll see a bunch of these vertex groups. You'll click this and then delete all groups. Then come over to attached mesh. You'll see a base. It's like your base mesh, the mesh that you're attaching, and then your what bone to attach it to. I recommend attaching it to the hip bone because your hip bone is right here and it's just easier to find. But yeah, and then I will explain from going on there. What are you doing? Oh, non-uniform scale. Cool, another good thing. So, just uniform scales, control A, scale, boom. That should work. Look at that. So now, you got this big old bone. We don't know what he's doing here. first, come in here, delete this new one. Come into vertex groups and delete it. Now, we don't want this big old bone. So, it may come up in different sizes, all over the place. Just make sure you click on your armature. Either one works, the orange or the green. Come over here to object mode, and then you go down to edit. Click on this big old bone, make sure it's not your whole armature. Big old bone, right click it, make sure the whole thing's selected. Click this, and then it's gonna be right click, and then delete selected bone. Yes. Boom. Now it's gone. So, now we're gonna go down into scent, make sure that our mesh is selected, and then transfer weights. Look at that. It's like magic. Now, something I like to do, if you really don't care, and this is mostly going to be for personal use, you don't have to do this step. This is something that I just like to do. But, if we try this out, we can see that it moves now. But sometimes on larger clothing, it will kind of be, actually this one's actually pretty good, but sometimes it will end up being kind of choppy and weird. If you want to fix that, we're going to click on our mesh, go up here to object mode, and click on weight paint. Now, here you can already see what this weight painting does. If you look over at our vertex groups, it's currently selected on hips. That's where the hips are. If you go to spine, see back here that the spine's selected, chest. So you can kind of give an idea of what weight painting does. The more dark blue it is, it's not going to move. It's not going to move at all with that vertex group. But the more red it is, it's going to stick on to that. It's going to stick on, and then as it fades, it's going to go there. What I like to do is make sure I have this little X on, and just kind of go through with the blur tool right here, and just kind of smooth things out. If you look, sometimes you'll get like these rougher edges. Oh yeah, so this one's like a more simple unified mesh, but sometimes you will get meshes that are all over the place, not uniformed at all, and that's what will cause harder edges. But yeah, so you just kind of go through, and I'm just gonna rush through this, but just smoothen everything out. Just kind of make sure that you don't overdo it. So like on this wrist part, you can see how it's already light blue. Just don't, make sure that there's still some of it there. And then sometimes you'll come across to one where there's nothing on it. Don't worry about that. It's not that big of a deal, really. It's just kind of there as a, okay, this is the end point, you don't need to continue on. But yeah, just kind of go through. But yeah, you get the point. And that's, oh yes, hair. Unless you want your avatar bald, you're more than welcome to. But, oh, and then shoes. So, I'm gonna pick out a hair real quick and be right back. Alright, I am now back, and I've picked out a new hair that I had just gotten maybe a few days ago. This is the hair Meow by Nessie. This is the cluster egg. So basically what a cluster egg is, that it's less bones, but it still does what it's supposed to do. But all the hair really is that it'll just have like these little basic parts, and then yeah. What I like to do, I'm gonna turn off bones here for a second, is kind of, this is actually really well placed. So But if you, I'm gonna set the origin of the armature real quick. Um, but sometimes the hair will pop up like way up here, or it'll be down further. Um, but you can kind of do what we just did with the strap jacket here. Just go into sculpt, and then just raise it up a little bit. So it's just not in front of your clothing, and all that. You of course can do this after you've already attached it to your main part here. I personally like to do it before. So yeah, this part is, I'm gonna turn these off for a second. Oh, how did I do that? I don't know. But this is a good time to kind of figure out where your hair sits on your avatar. This is actually pretty well placed. But sometimes like your bangs will be sticking out way out here or something. That you can just adjust with the armature. With the main base hair, I would not recommend moving the mesh at all because the bones want to line up genuinely where the hair is set up. So if you have your, where's the cursor? Set origin. No. There we go. So if you have like your thing, let's say, this is an example, don't mind this, all the way out here, your bangs are gonna act weird in game because it's pulling, because it's having to have the settings right here. So the hair all back here is just gonna be all wonky. So this is really well placed, but once you have it in a good spot, you can just kind of mess around with where you want things. Feel free to turn off certain clothing parts of your avatar to kind of see things better, or even just turn everything off as well, just so you can get a better feel of where things are. I personally like to lift it off the skin a little bit, just so I have, just so the skin just doesn't, yeah. And then I like to bring it closer to the neck base, just so there's not a lot, you can't really see the back of the neck here. But yeah, this is kind of a bad example because everything was already kind of in place, but just kind of tweak through and see where you like things. A lot of this is just up to preference. There you go. Now to actually attach it to the body itself, this one does not have a head bone, but if you have a head bone, still a good thing to know. Now this one is named differently, but a lot of things will be named hair underscore root, mainly be in underscore r. Sorry, undercase r, so we'll just do that for now. But since this does not have a head bone for this hair, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make sure that my armature is selected, go into edit mode, and then here I'm going to turn off these bones for a minute, and click up here to add and single bone. Now you have the now you'll have this big old bone just kind of appear out of nowhere. You're just going to come up to it, click S, shrink it down to basically whatever size, just make sure the smaller point is pointing up, and place it inside of your head. Bam! Now, you're going to come over here to your main kind of collection area, and you're going to rename this bone to capital H head. Now, this will act as our quote-unquote head bone. So you're going to click on your hair root, control click on head. You're going to come out here to your main work area, right click, and you're going to come down here to parent, and then some bunch of this will be here. Oh, okay. So, okay. Make keep offset. Well, bam. I had to go back into edit mode because I was a little dumb, but because this is something I rarely do. So now you have your head and hair root. So this should just add 19 to our total count here. You're gonna go back to merge geometries and boom, look at that. Now to check if that worked, we can down click on all of these: spine, chest, neck, and head. So another note I would like to point out is that pants that are not rigged to your base will be a pain to attempt to weight paint, even with your robust weight painter. The thing with baggy pants is that if you see where the mesh gets really close to each other here, it will try and connect to each other. So if you sometimes see if things, like if you put your arm out and there's a little piece of your clothing kind of going towards your body, that's what this weight painting will do. Um, Basically, it will just connect with each other and it's all ugly and it's weird. Just be careful about that. To fix that, before we go, you just come into weight paint, and for example, if you see like there's a little bit of that, let's say there, and we go into start pose mode and you move your leg, this is what I'm talking about. To fix this, really depends on how bad it is. I like to that's the thigh bone. How I like to fix this is to extend both legs pretty far out. Don't click stop pose mode here, and go to object mode, click on your pants, go into weight paint, and you can see where that happens. Just turn down your weight over here and just go to town on this. And there. Sometimes it will take longer than that. That was just a single spot that I had used for an example. To fix this pose, just start and then end. Make sure you don't click apply as rest pose, because that will be your T pose. So if you have like a leg out and you apply it as rest pose, that's your rest pose now. But yeah. Now that is everything. Um, so, please leave in the comments what else you would like to see, or something I may have forgotten that you want to know. But yeah, this is a start of, I don't know, of an actual avatar, or definitely not the strap top, but I hope this video helped you in some way. My next video will most likely be how to export properly, and then how to set it up in Unity with the like all the shinies and stuff, and that will be multiple parts. But yeah, that is everything, and I hope you guys enjoy and you have a wonderful start to your creating journey.